Beautiful moment to you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another edition of State of the State. I am Sunday Kolawale. Of course, we've been taking closer look at issues surrounding the affairs of the Nigerian state and looking at critical matters having to do with the development of every sector of the state. Last week we talked about the education sector. Today we'll be taking a peep into the political arena, specifically the Edo State governorship election billed for this weekend. And from the feelers we're getting from Edo State, 17 political parties are fielding candidates in the governorship elections. 16 of them are male, while one is female. Currently, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has distributed sensitive materials to the local government areas of the state ahead this weekend's election. And so in today's State of the State, we will be peeping into that election. Joining me in the conversation is a media expert, scholar and teacher, Dr. Gbenga Abimbola. Thank you so much for joining me on State of the State.
Thank you, Sunday. Good evening.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, again.
Well, you see, at every point in time when I have to be on set with you, it brings some form of nostalgia. Good to see you. Now, let's set the ball rolling. How well exactly are the media organizations really doing their job? Let's start from the way and manner the media has reported campaign activities of political parties that will be taking part in Saturday's governorship election in Edo State.
Yes, I would say so far so good. You know the normative theory of the media. The media mirrors the society. It is what is happening in the political scene of Edo that the media will report. And you know we have regulated and unregulated.
Very well.
The regulated media are the broadcast media, the radio and television stations, which are strictly regulated by the National Broadcasting Commission. And the MB code is there to regulate them. And that is why national television, state television, radio, and all the rest, you see it for Edo. Anytime they are bringing the campaign of one political party, they must balance it with another political party. You will see it in the report. Whether in their news or in their special reports, they have tried so far so good. Then the advert, the commercials, they have also given space and airtime for all who could afford.
In the light of fairness.
In the light of fairness. So the media have been fair. Then for the unregulated, the newspapers. When I say unregulated, I'm not talking of ungated.
Okay.
So because we have there are three categories now: the highly regulated broadcast, the unregulated print, that is the newspapers, the magazines. These also have gatekeepers. They have done a good job. They have run different analyses. News reports are countless, and they have tried to balance their photographs in their reporter. They have tried to tell us, so show the capacity of each of the parties and their candidates. And although the media have been able to confer status on three parties, so there.
Status conferrer.
Yes, status conferrer. So which parties? The ruling PDP party there, the main opposition APC, and the Labour Party. So if you watch Edo, if you watch the media, these are the three parties that are very, very frequent in mention on the media. So
it pops on my head then.
Yes.
What exactly are we talking about in terms of status conferrer? If those permit me, they term the mushroom political parties, but then I always disagree that there's no mushroom political parties. Once it's recognized by INEC, it's a political party.
Of course.
How well then is the media conferring status on them also
Yes.
in the light of election?
You know, when we say the media is conferring status, there are factors that will make the media do so.
Very well.
One, you talk of visibility, you talk of capacity, you talk about activities, you talk about structure. So, and they also talk about the popularity and the personality of the candidates they have fielded. For Labour Party, if not for the senior advocate Apata, so in the last 4 years, the Labour Party didn't really have a strong candidate in Edo. So this time around, they have somebody. Sometimes the candidate
personality factor.
Yeah, sometimes
sometimes
a candidate can confer status on a party,
very well.
And in another case, a party may confer status on a candidate. So we will see in the case of Labour LP there now, it is the candidate that has conferred status. Just like Peter Obi conferred status on Labour Party at the national election the other time. Otherwise, parties like SDP, there are many political parties which are well ahead of Labour Party in Nigeria. Labour Party had only produced one governor in Mimiko before the 2023 general elections. But you saw that when Obi came up, he conferred status on it. So far, the media that have gates, and gatekeepers, they have done well. But we now have the third level, which is the ungated media, which are the social media, that they are open to any abuse. Nobody is regulating them, and they are not answerable to anybody, and there is no ethics they are following. So these ones, and they have been misleading people. I would say that we have the good, the bad, and the ugly in that sense. So all combined. But if we are talking about media here, I think we should operationalize it. That the media we refer to are the radio, television, newspapers, and magazines that have gatekeepers, that have second address, that you can trace them. So,
Dr. Imbola, let's delve into issues that are really surrounding not just the Edo State election, but we will be majoring on that, but also the electioneering process of the Nigerian state generally. We start with this from Edo State. There are who's and cries about plans to withdraw security details of the incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki. Do you think the criticism are necessary, or it's just a normal thing during election? They say they're withdrawing security details of VIPs. Should the criticism really be necessary at a time like this, or are there political undertones to it?
Okay, well, the truth is that elections come with sentiments all over the world.
Very well.
But in Nigeria, it comes with hyper sentiment because of the stakes in the political offices. And Sunday, you remember, I've always said it, that I don't believe that we have political parties in Nigeria.
Very well.
Yes, the reason being that political parties are offshoot. They are driven by ideologies. So once you have an ideology, your party will be hinged, will be situated. Your party will toe the line of the ideology. And so, if you don't fit into that ideology, you cannot join that political party. Now, if you are in a political party and you feel dissatisfied, you can't join another one because the ideology doesn't fit into your own. But in Nigeria, only one ideology. That ideology is corruption. Chop chop, what we get. The interest, let me use their language, they call it permanent interest. That is the ideology in Nigeria. But we, the watchers, we call it corruption because they will say there is nothing to share in zero. When you hear politicians say that nothing to share in zero, that is, let us win first. And that is why you see it's just like when the Bible says where the carcass are, the eagles will gather. So in Edo, just like we are having in other states, in Edo you will see that where the party in power, people would naturally gravitate. But unfortunately in Edo, we are now having balance of terror, so to say. The party in power is an opposition party at the national. Then the main opposition is in power at the national. So you will see that naturally, APC and PDP, they will have more people to come into them, depending on what is in it for them. And that is why I said we don't have ideologies, we don't have political parties. And that is why it is very easy. In Edo State now, we have majority of those who are in APC, they migrated from the PDP. Majority of those who are in PDP, they migrated from the APC. Even the incumbent governor, he was sponsored by APC. He won the election in his first term. Second time, because of ticket, he ran to the PDP with his deputy. And now his deputy has fallen out from him, and is in APC. So in Edo, we cannot really say this is party, this is another party. So they are just birds of the same feather, so to say. And that is how it is all over Nigeria, that you see people migrating from one party to the other. But let's take a critical look at what should we be looking forward to. We should be looking forward to, because a dangerous dimension that will be introduced, and that is most likely to be introduced in the election now, is vote commercialization. In fact, from the grapevine,
coming from the angle of balance of terror that
you're talking about. Yes, from the grapevine, we have heard that on Saturday, that parties, that those who have the war chest, that they are ready to spend as high as 20,000 per voter, 15,000, 10,000, 20,000 naira per voter, or even more, depending on the polling booth or what they want. So now, what are we talking about here? We are talking about the issue of Nigerians, even the electorate, have been disillusioned. The electorate, they don't even, the poverty had really even affected our thinking. we can't think straight any longer, except only a few. So, in fact, there is no preaching you want to preach in Edo State now that don't take money, they will. Even though those the election that is coming, there is no preaching, because you will see that the economic hardship has also prepared a fertile ground for those who want to buy votes to have something to buy. So those who want to sell, we are going to have more sellers now. And these are the issues we need to talk about. But who do we blame? We blame the authorities. Who are the authorities? The INEC and the security agencies. All these things, they are in their purview. So you are talking about security details being withdrawn, this and that. The police had always done that in all elections. That once in the week of the elections, you say they withdraw the security details of what we call
VIPs.
VIPs, very important personalities. Why they have given us a reason? It is not more than a decade they have been doing that. Why do they do that? They say that some of them abuse the use of the security personnel attached to them, and they use it to harass during election, so that everybody will be equal. You have one vote, you have one vote. So if you are going to a polling booth, you go there. But that of the governor is different, because Osrc is not just a voter; he's the sitting governor. So he still enjoys one immunity and also protection. So I don't know. You know, politicians, they know how to make a mountain out of a molehill. Politicians, be who they are. They know they are like footballers. I've said it. They are like footballers on the field of play. Once they are the one that foul somebody, they will raise their hand. I'm innocent. I'm not the one. That is it. Politicians can sell any kite any day. We have accusations and counter accusations between APC and PDP. It's what the scenario in Edo is that the Labour Party is now in the middle.
Well, you've hinted at something that's very critical, and that's the role that security agencies need to play in the forthcoming Edo election. It's not even forthcoming anymore. It's already
it's already here.
It's already
campaign is going to start
today,
tonight.
So
by 11:59 tonight.
I'm not concerned about the warning by the Chief of Defence Staff. He did say that, look, whoever has the intention of causing trouble in Edo should have a rethink. You find this kind of, not threat, but warning, coming from security agencies on the eve of elections most times. And what you find eventually, your guess is as good as mine. Where then do we place the culpability of electoral violence? You talked about commercialization. ICPC, FCC will say they are monitoring elections so as to guard against vote commercialization. We still find records of vote commercialization. Where do we place the culpability?
Yes, the security agencies, they are also part of us. They are Nigerians just like we are.
Normative comes in again?
Yes, now even the courts, up to the highest court in the land, those who sit in the temple of justice, they are also human beings like we are. The Nigerianness in us. You know, I've told you that the number one citizen of Nigeria is corruption. It's a pity to say that, but we can see. Unfortunately so. Now, the security agencies, you can see the political, even some of these security men, their promotion, their appointment have political undertones. Even some judges, their appointments have political undertones. And he who pays the piper calls the tune. So all these things are there. That even when the security agencies, the secret police, DSS, the police that we can see, when they make bold statements, sometimes we may not be able to know the other current. There are two levels of this security control: the federal and also the state. There are some security agencies that even the state government had also captured them. So don't ask me how.
It's not within the purview of this conversation.
It's not of this conversation.
I think we should
now what we are saying here is that it is the failure. We make elections a do or die affair. Why? Because the real motive is not to serve the people.
A do or die affair. It brings me to something. Godwin Osrc was captured in a video saying that the election is going to be a do or die affair. You find some other key elements like leaders of the youth coming to say, look, it's going to be fire for fire. These things are bringing us to issues of promoting issues-based campaign, devoid of verbal violence that could lead into actual violence. How well can this be tamed on Saturday?
Well, first, I think with the media, we have a role to play. We have to continue to educate. Like our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, would want to say that his ambition is not worth the blood of a single Nigerian. And that is why the man is a hero today. Now, what are we talking about? Governor Osrc is completing his 8-year term very soon. And he must be interested, and he is interested in who succeeds him. And he wants his anointed candidate to succeed him at all costs. Then those in opposition, they are also bending on taking over the reins of government. And that is where violence, and that is where do or die comes in. Now the question we should educate the populace that are these people, where do they place the interest of the ordinary Edo man, Edo woman, Edo boy, Edo girl, Edo child? Where do they place the interest? If it is the interest of the people, now in advanced democracies, you will see people. One of the elections that are really two of the U.S. elections. U.S. is also doing their election this year now. The one between Al Gore and was it Obama? So the election, even when they said Florida that the election there were irregularities, the man didn't go. Nobody goes to court. They said, well, but the one, Mrs. Clinton and Donald Trump, you could see the majority votes. Mrs. Clinton had it. Americans voted for her. Simple majority. Hundreds of thousands of votes, if not millions, above Trump. But the Electoral College gave Trump the victory. And the woman accepted. The outgoing president now of the US, they said you are old. You are not doing well in this debate. And it shows that he put the interest of the people he wants to govern above his own personal interest, and he withdrew and said somebody else should fly the. It cannot happen in Nigeria here. It cannot happen. So that is citizens should know that when these politicians are making inflammatory statements, it is not in your interest. It's in their own personal interest. And so at the end of the day, their children will not be the ones that they will break their head.
Don't be used.
So just wise up, shine your brain.
Now, Dr. Let's digress a bit to looking at one very important issue in our electoral process. Each time an election is coming close, especially off-cycle election, like the one in Edo State, like the one that will happen in Ondo State, like the one that will happen in Ekiti State and some other places like that, you find what they call redeployment of Commissioner of Police, redeployment of Resident Electoral Commission. Is it a case of saying that these people are not competent? Are you saying that they are not professional? Or you are reading a political tone to whatever it is that's happening there? What do you see?
That is the word. It's the failure of institutions.
Institutions.
In Nigeria, we don't build institutions. We build personalities.
Independent National Electoral Commission.
Excuse me, independent. Call it independent. We are not building institutions. Do you know how why I said it? If we are building institutions, how many people has INEC prosecuted over election violence? Yes. Those who will be arrested at the end of the day, how many of them have INEC prosecuted successfully and sent to jail, either for making inflammatory statements or for sponsoring talks or for actually going to the field and causing violence, and they are recorded? How many of them? Institutions. We are not building institutions. If we are building institutions, it was institutions that are strong in the US. That was why Donald Trump could not perpetuate himself. They spoke to him. Those in White House, those in judiciary, those in legislature, they spoke to him that American interest first. Mr. President, you can't. So once somebody becomes a governor in Nigeria, his party is in his pocket at the state level. Once somebody becomes president in Nigeria, his party is in his pocket at the federal level. What are we talking about? And so, if we have institutions, the police must be independent of the political leadership. The INEC, the DSS, if all these people are independent and their institutions are strong, they can look the chief executive of a state or the chief executive of the country in the eye and say, sir, this is the oath I have taken. This is my line of duty. This is the constitution, this is the power that the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria has given me. just like the Constitution has also given you the power to protect the Constitution itself. So, sir, this one, it cannot go. We don't have that. And that is why, so they changed commissioners of police. Are you saying that the commissioner of police that you are changing? So, are you saying that they don't know their job and that the new person you are going to bring, and few hours to the election, you bring a new commissioner of police, you bring a new rep. In fact, the all-cycle election are the worst in Nigeria. Why do I say that? Sometimes the state is turned into more or less a theater of war. The number of security men, sometimes they are almost up to the number of voters. Like you see, from the police, from the DSS, from the immigration, from the all of them will be deployed. Whereas when we didn't have off-cycle election, so all these people are shared into 36 states of the federation. That's why I still believe that something must be done to our constitution to still reverse this off-cycle election. Off-cycle election is not giving us any way. It has not even made our democracy to progress. The only thing it has added to our democracy is that somebody cannot use his, cannot come to power through another means. The court could remove him. But in the last 10 years, how many people have the court removed now? How many people? Even when the results, even when the petitioners have genuine cases, up to the Court of Appeal, they could be reversed. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, we all know what is happening in Nigeria. How many governors have been removed in the last 10 years now?
So there must be a soul searching, as it were, as far as this matter is concerned.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Let's move on. We did talk about issues-based campaign the other time, and then something comes to my mind. You find word mudslinging, as it were, coming between the wife of the governor of Edo State and the former governor of the state, Adams Oshiomhole. Isn't this bringing us to the point where we need to interrogate the emotional intelligence, morality, and the fiber of decency of people who will recruit into the political process?
Yes, those who will recruit, you say we recruit. We don't recruit them from the blues. We don't recruit them from abroad. Neither do we recruit them from above. We recruit them from among us. They are just showing us who we are. They are showing us who we are because the altercations, the verbal altercations between the first lady and the former governor, because it's a former governor, at that level, you should know that these people, that's why they call them Your Excellency.
Exactly why I'm asking.
So
who much is given,
much is expected. Yes, so at that level, that's what I'm saying. At that level, as His Excellency, you should be able to live up to that name.
So is another between Her Excellency
and His Excellency. That's why I'm using Excellency now, because the wife of the governor, they will address her as Your Excellency. The former governor, they will address him as Your Excellency. Not just 4-year governor, 8-year governor for crying out loud. It shows the level we have degenerated. What has all these personal issues that they were, calling themselves names, what has that got to do with the election? What has that got to do with the voting? And mind you, INEC, even though we blame INEC, but we should blame the politicians. In every election, INEC used to gain experience and bring up something that will also reduce corruption in the election. But politicians are always ahead of INEC.
Politicians are always ahead
yes,
of INEC. Because
they are desperate. Now, look at it. When INEC saw that ballot snatching, multiple thumb printing was the order of the day, they brought first card reader. When card reader was being voted, they now brought beavers. With the beavers now, you cannot just go and thumb print somewhere and put the votes now. But now, look at what politicians have done in the last few years. They are now going directly to use money to reduce people because they know that the votes are now counting. So what we are talking about here is that the security agencies and the electoral umpire, they should be up and doing to making sure that the laws, there are laws guiding all these things. Laws about security, laws about behavior, laws about what you should do and what you don't do.
What exactly is the task ahead for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? It says 379,245 PVCs have remained uncollected up until now in Edo State. What will be the implication of that for the Saturday's governorship election? That question will be answered when we return from this short break. Please stay with us, everyone.
The governorship election in Edo State is set for September 21, 2024, signaling the gradual end of Governor Godwin Obaseki's 8-year tenure. As the governorship election is poised to make known the individual who will succeed the incumbent as the state helmsman, with voters participating across the 4,519 polling units in 192 wards throughout the state's 18 local government areas. 17 political parties have nominated candidates, with Aswe Ighodalo from the PDP aiming to continue the party's current governance, while Senator Monday Ekpoolo represents the APC seeking to regain power. The Labour Party's Olumide Akpata, a former Nigerian Bar Association president, is also in the race, alongside other candidates hoping to break the cycle of governance enjoyed by the PDP and APC since 1999.
The people are very eager to vote the candidate of their choice. You know, the things very dicey here because APC is there, PDP is also there, and Labour Party is also there, and other political parties they're all there. But to me, the main dominant party in this election is APC and PDP. Even the Labour Party, it's pretty strong. What will determine the election is the personalities of the candidates. What are you going to show? The battleground lies in Edo South, because that's where the population is high. Whatever happens in Edo North, Edo Central, but the dominant factor is Edo South. The beliefs, because the large number of population.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) reports that there are 2,629,025 registered voters in Edo State. Political figures have been actively campaigning, with significant focus on ensuring a peaceful electoral process amidst concerns about violence and voter safety. Campaigns have highlighted key issues such as insecurity, agriculture, and infrastructure. The state has also played host to prominent political figures, including Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa, who is a member of the APC National Campaign Council. With the countdown to the election's D-Day, residents of the state who spoke with Osrc highlighted issues such as approaches to fighting insecurity, plans to boost agriculture and infrastructure as key determinants to shape the choice of electorates.
Things are really begging for attention at those states is security and food, because if you have food, everything will be okay, because a hungry man is an angry man. If there is violence in any state, it will be because of the hunger. And at the same time, insecurity makes people not to go to the farm again, especially in the interior, in the villages. People don't go to farm anymore. And that's another thing that is causing scarcity of food and hunger the land.
Everybody has his own manifesto, so when it comes, so the president was tackling security, and I hope if another one comes, they will be able to continue.
INEC has prepared over 5,000 bimodal voter accreditation systems, while 35,000 police personnel will be deployed alongside 8,000 others from sister agencies for security during the elections.
The political climate here in Edo State continues to gather momentum, and the actors are going about seeking vote from the electorate. But who will get the victory come September 21? The day and the results will tell. From Benin in Edo State, Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
Tidbits from Benin City in Edo State, of course, from our man, Zahid Aribisala, telling us what exactly is going on preparatory to the Edo governorship election billed for Saturday. Welcome back, everyone. It's still State of the State, and we're still discussing issues surrounding the Edo State governorship election. Dr. Ogben Aribola, I say very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Aribola.
Yeah.
Now, 2.2 million PVCs have been collected in Edo State. Over 300 PVCs, 300,000 PVCs, specifically 379,245 PVCs have remained uncollected. Now, when you look at the the gap. It seems interesting. 2.2 million collected and all of that. But on the day of the election, it's not always like that. I can almost say you will not find 2.2 million voters coming out to really vote. How do we deal with voter apathy, especially preparing to this election? The threats, the hate speeches, and all of those things, would they not trigger voter apathy on the day of election?
Thank you. The first thing I want us to address our milestone is that we don't have good vital registration. And to that effect, we don't have any database, not only talking about credible database. All these figures that the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics will release, figures that INEC will release, they are not real. I'll tell you how they are not real.
Okay.
2.2 million PVCs collected is correct, but is it real? Many of them will have died. Some of them will have japa. Some of them have relocated to other states. In any country where you have data, if you are a resident of Ondo State, if you relocate to Kano or you relocate to Lagos, it will show that you are no longer here. So 2.2 million PVCs collected. How many of them are still in Edo? Talk less of those who will come out to vote. That is one.
Okay.
The ones that they say they are yet uncollected, some of the people who are to collect, they are no longer alive. Some of them are no longer in the country. So we don't have vital registration. We don't have any database to give us accurate. In any country, they know the number of births, they can know the number of deaths, and they can know the number of migrants. So that is that. Now let's come to it. Now the issue of voter apathy. Two things cause voter apathy. First, you talk about the citizens have lost faith in the electoral process. They believe that every 4 years they do election and there is nothing to show for it. Some people are already even crying now that why did they even vote for Tinubu? Because of the current hardship in the country. So they believe that if they want to do another election, whoever they will elect, nothing may change. So that one makes some people to say whether we do election or not, politicians will still find their ways in government, even though that is not good enough. Because if you don't vote, you don't have the moral right to criticize government. That is number one.
So Nigerians must keep voting.
They must keep voting. Because that is the power they have. But unfortunately now, so they now go there. I said that is one reason. The second reason would be the logistics. There is not. What kind of election do we do in Nigeria? That you will close the roads, you will close the shop, close businesses. No movements are restricted. So for example, somebody registered at Obaile and is living at Ondo Road. How does he get there? If he's not committed to the candidate he wants to vote for, he will not go and rent a hotel and sleep in Obaile. So these are issues. So all those things also reduce the turnout.
So there will still be people in the 2.2 million
yes.
that are living far away from where they register.
For example, somebody registered at Uselu Market and is living at Mission Road in Benin City. So how will he come to Uselu Market to come and vote? These are some of these issues. One. Now the second thing is that the apathy. Now the governorship election is still better off in Nigeria than other elections. Presidential governorship, they always attract more people. But the more people they are attracting, they have never attracted in the last 10 years up to 40% of the voters. In fact, sometimes you will see 20-something%, less than 30%, and they will still say that they have voted, and they will choose the leader. So now, the worst of the elections are the legislative elections, which are to be the one that we should pay more attention to, but we don't pay attention. Because for House of Assembly, they are the one that will scrutinize the governor. They are the one that will pass the bill. They are the one that will approve his spending. They are the one that can ask him questions.
The actual representation.
Yeah, they are our representative, but we tune off. But if it is governorship election, we do all our best to elect a governor. After electing the governor, once it comes to the House of Assembly, we don't play much more whatever. The same thing National Assembly. The worst of it is local government elections. So that is why you can see that dysfunctionality. Everything is like it is upside down in Nigeria. But I know that Edo, the last election, they were able to record above 30%.
Yes.
So we don't. This year, they are still more likely to record more votes because the political parties, they are out of the task. PDP has sufficiently mobilized. APC has sufficiently mobilized. and Labour Party has sufficiently mobilized. Other parties are also doing their own, but these three political parties, they will. I mean, they have their molecules of followers and support. So I want to believe that out of the 2-point-something million, if we're able to get about 600,000 or 700,000, that means we say they are above 30%.
Would you say this?
But if we have anything less than 500 or about 500,000, that means it's not up to a quarter.
Would you say the Edo election will be a litmus test of what should be expected in Ondo State? It's preparing for our election come November 16.
Of course. It goes to say that because the same people that are conducting Edo election will be the one. INEC is the same. Police is the same. So security agencies, they are the same. Then political parties, they are the same. Politicians, they are the same. So I'm not going to. The only thing will now be the actors. The actors in Edo, the political parties. We don't now know whether in those states, whether we are going to have a 3-horse race or 2-horse. So that is another ballgame. But politicians, for me, they are the same. They just wear
2 or 3 horses. Around 17 or
yes, of course. Now we know everybody finds his or her level now. So all they do is that they wear the clothes. The color of the clothes they wear is what gives them their identity. For me, they are the same.
Well, for you,
for me, they are the same.
Now, let's take a look at something. All eyes will be on Edo State in the next 48 hours or thereabouts, so to say. Will it be safe to say that INEC has a name to protect at this point in time? The issue of INEC to really living up to its name, Independent National Electoral Commission.
Yes, INEC has its name to protect, or to even make sure that
it has the nature itself.
No, that even it repairs some of the damage, redeemed its image, damage reputation, because the presidential election that was held last year really put INEC on the spot. And so some Nigerians, both home and abroad, and even non-Nigerians, many of them have criticized INEC for the guidelines they bring out and the outcome of the election. So INEC must up its game. So to what extent are you going to use beavers? To what extent are you going to use IREV? To what extent are you going to do electronic transfer of results?
5,000 beavers already deployed to Edo State.
Yes. So no, there will be no excuse, because for Edo and Ondo, outside to elections, they will have more than enough beavers. All they need to do is to reconfigure, so that if anyone fails, they can even give each polling unit 2 or 3 reserves, depending on the size. So that if one fails, you switch to the other. Although it comes with its own hiccups, because any beavers machine that will work, it must be configured to that locality, to that polling booth. Now, all these things are telling us that we are just wasting our time in Nigeria. Election. Why do we look at the cost of printing ballot papers, printing result sheets, doing ballot boxes? If we have advanced and that you just go to the polling unit and do your thumb and vote, and it will be counting. Don't we do it? In my own university, in the last 10 years, we've been doing student union election by e-voting. Every student, you use your ID card, you use your matric number, enter it. You can't vote more than once. Once it enters, once you have voted, as the voting, second by second, minute by minute, you are already knowing the results. Can't we advance to that one? And people will say that electricity problem, villages, but they are deploying beavers to villages, and it is working. And you are not saying we cannot do electronic voting. So all these things, NBA, Nigeria Bar Association, they'll be using it. If we go to that, it will reduce. If you hear the billions of naira that INEC we utilize to conduct Edo election and Ondo election, sometimes those 2 states, you don't spend up to that to conduct election, the whole of the federation. If we explore some of these technologies and use them, we have not really maximized the usage of technology in our elections.
Security agencies also come to the focus when elections are concerned or are discussed. What would be your word of advice to the Nigeria police, the leading security agencies and election monitoring?
Yes, my advice to them is that they should know that soldier goes, soldier comes, barrack remains. That is, the police officers, they should know that they have a career that I will span 35 to 40 years. So why should they allow any politician, whether in government or out of government, to just put a dent on their career? Because whoever is influential today may not be influential tomorrow. So you should do the right thing. Once you do the right thing, you are always protected by, you will be on the right side of the law. But once you don't do the right thing, you'll be leaning on a godfather. And so I want to appeal to the police, from the IGP down to the commissioner, because they will deploy more commissioners to go and support the commissioner of police. They know as if it's going to be a theater of war. The DPOs and all they are going to mop up policemen from different states to go there. So let them know that whatever they do, one election cannot make them to be rich. So why should they destroy their career?
Well, Dr. Imbola, many people are following us online via Facebook platform, as well as YouTube and all that places. Let me just read this comment to you and then you react. How about the young people who are always tools in the hands of politicians? Would this not be a time for them to have a rethink in the light of what we're experiencing currently, aftermath of the last election? I think that even goes without saying.
Yeah, no, I have I discussed that when I said the Edo people should shine their eyes. They should know that these politicians that are making statements, that are bragging or that are threatening one another, that it is not in their interest, that they are threatening themselves. They are threatening themselves because of their own personal interest. Therefore, I even said it the other time that are their children going to be on the field? If they want to break anybody's head, it will never be one of their children. It's going to be the ordinary man. So why should they allow themselves to be used? The best thing that, in fact, even though we are saying that no matter the level of our preaching, we cannot dissuade people from collecting money, from selling their votes. But the truth is that I've said it over and over. The one paper I delivered recently, I said, people, even though we say people get the leaders they deserve, but I now say that people deserve the kind of leaders they choose.
Well, I'm trying to make a calculation here. If you get 20,000 naira and then you divide that by 365, then you also take that to now.
So that is just 1 year. 365 is 1 year.
Yes. So then you now take that to also divide that by the space of 4 years.
4 years.
So you see that it's an infinitesimal thing that you want to spend per day. If that's even going to all go well for a day-old child. So I think it's been an interesting conversation, Dr. Imbola. Thank you so much for all of this input on the state of the state today. Thank you so much for your time.
The pleasure is mine.
Dear people of Edo State, it's time for you to now find out on Saturday and determine who will govern you in the next 4 years. So many things we have said on the program today. Eschew violence. Know that whatever it is, politicians will always be friends. And eventually, you'll just be that tool used in the game that they are playing. And you remember, they will say that there's no permanent friend or permanent enemy in politics, but there's permanent interest. Dr. Imbola talked about what exactly their interest is in politics. Would you be the sacrificial lamb in the hands of politicians? Eschew violence, please. And more so, make sure you're not selling your vote, because in the long run, you'll be selling your conscience and selling the future of your children. Act right and vote right. Vote for your conscience. And please ensure that you eschew violence and anything that could jeopardize the peace and progress of Edo State. That will be the size of the outlook today on State of the State. Join me again next week, God willing, on State of the State. I am Sandy Kolawale. Enjoy the rest of the